As we speak right now, Bitcoin is headed down. It's fallen below its most recent swing low since it set the all-time high. And it really begs the question, are we going significantly lower? Are we going to be dipping below $100,000, perhaps most importantly? Or is this just going to be, another kind of test of the existing support level that we've already known and used for this little bounce over here? And we're back to all-time highs. Now, the really good news is if we take a look at the S&P 500, it's so close to all-time highs, right? It's been climbing higher. It, did exactly what we were expecting on this channel. If you were subscribed to the channel, you're going to be quite familiar with what we were saying, which is more so that, more or less that, the S&P 500 was basically consolidating after a nice big rally up, and obviously we were expecting that strength to bleed into crypto as well. But obviously, look, there are minor differences between how Bitcoin and the S&P 500 behaves. This is not something to kind of, lose our minds over or get upset about at all. Bitcoin is still above $100,000, and we really need to maintain that perspective. A lot of people don't do that, and it is at their own demise, okay? We really don't want to be falling into those traps. We need to be able to maintain perspective of what is actually going on, which is that, overall, we're going to be seeing a pretty clear correlation between Bitcoin and the S&P 500, okay? If traditional finance is happy, then so too would crypto, right? You would expect that. And that's what we get. But obviously, on smaller time frames, if you look at this, just on a day-by-day time frame, there are going to be anomalies, and that is totally fine, ladies and gents. I'm really quite okay with that. Now, taking a look at what we're seeing here, obviously, I never really expected the support level to be particularly strong. I said that it's a support level, and so we can't expect a bounce there. But, I think especially after bouncing off this level now once and then coming back down again, even if this does end up giving us a little bit of support, I would probably imagine it's going to be lackluster, and then we kind of dip a little bit lower. And so we've got to start kind of zooming out to identify what those key levels for us could be in this market. I think that if Bitcoin is able to, kind of lose this level here, then obviously we've got that next really nice round number at 100K. There are a lot of numbers that people are throwing out right now. I think 97 is kind of one of the main ones that people are talking about, and I think it definitely makes sense. It's obviously going to be the stronger level of support on this chart. It's also, of course, as we know very, very well now, it's also the point of control for this entire range of price action. Right here, it sits at 96.6. So, very, very clearly, we are seeing now, I think, in this market, a super, super obvious support level that Bitcoin could end up using if it does end up falling a little bit lower. Realistically, even though I'm saying that we can have anomalies, I'm not really expecting Bitcoin to drop down this low if the S&P 500 doesn't. So that's gonna be something I'm keeping an eye out for. Trump is another coin I've been keeping an eye out for, and it has fallen down to the $10 level that we were looking at for quite some time here on this YouTube channel. And I don't know if this is even worth bidding at this stage because of Bitcoin's instability, and obviously other altcoins are in similarly interesting levels, and I like them. I want to be bidding these levels, but I need to see a little bit more of kind of what Bitcoin's doing. So we'll come back to Bitcoin here for just a second. Just before we do that, though, here's Ethereum against Bitcoin, actually looking pretty strong. It's now formed what I think is a pretty clear, kind of ascending triangle of sorts. I guess you could also say that it is a, symmetrical triangle, but in both cases, this is a pretty bullish pattern now. This is actually, the first kind of real sign of strength I think I've seen on Ethereum. Arguably, I would say it's actually more significant, this thing right here. I'd say it's more significant than the initial pump itself. Because, Ethereum has managed to pull off a lot of these pumps, but it's never really able to kind of hold on to those gains and then, take it further. So this could be the exception to that here. We'll just have to wait and see. But bringing it back to Bitcoin here just to analyze what might happen. Look, 100 makes a lot of sense. 97 makes a lot of sense, this entire range here. I think it would take, a pretty decent amount of strength from the bears in order for Bitcoin to drop below this level right here. I don't really see that happening. It could happen, but we would need a different kind of environment in this market, which can, totally develop. Let's be clear, like that can, we can change and we can have a very different kind of environment in crypto, just like that, just within one day, right? So we absolutely shouldn't, rule it out that, Bitcoin can fall below this level. But, as it stands right now, I don't really see how that would happen. If it does fall below this level, then obviously the next key level that people are going to be watching is going to be like 91, 93. I think 93 is obviously, a level that makes a lot of sense as well. We've really kind of interacted with this level recently. I should probably actually go ahead and put a line right here because I do think that 93K is going to be an important one for this market going forward. And yeah, so there's just a ton of support support in this range. And I feel personally, you know, like I said, I've been doing this for 8 years. I feel like it's pretty hard to say which one Bitcoin would bounce off if it does fall down to them. There are different things that we can do to, you know, build a clearer image of this. We can throw on the 𝐋𝐄𝐕𝐄𝐗 cloud. And, you know, by the way, we've fallen out of the 4 hour here. So not great, but not super concerning. But on the daily time frame here, I mean, you know, this 𝐋𝐄𝐕𝐄𝐗 cloud stretches from 93 all the way up to, you know, 100 flat, right? So I'm just not really worried. I think that there's, you know, a really good amount of support for Bitcoin to kind of fall into, and it really makes sense to me that Bitcoin might have a kind of slow descent into some of these support levels. That would also be our best case scenario to give us a really, really bullish summer. I don't really like doing seasonal analysis. I don't think it matters that much, but there is some weight to it. They definitely, you know, do have some, you know, there's definitely some interesting data there, but you know what, guys, for the most part, you know, the way I see it, you know, this is going to be, you know, a chart that I think could definitely, you know, fall down to some really, really nice levels if we do continue falling. The other really good news I have for you guys is just, you know, just how we've been moving. Yeah, I think this is a really big deal. I want to, you know, go ahead and just start measuring a little bit of, you know, what Bitcoin has done with these price levels here, just to kind of make sure that we've got super balanced, healthy perspectives on this market. You know, and so the first time that Bitcoin ever got above $100,000, you know, with some real strength, let's go ahead and put this on the 4 hour. The first time Bitcoin had ever done this, you know, with some real strength, you know, actually kind of maintaining above the level, it was right here, okay? So that's going to be 11th December. And it managed to spend, you know, 8 days above this level, more or less, right? We had, you know, some smaller instances here, but I'm not really counting that. So 8 days over here, and this one lasted 16 days. So, you know, it's good. We're spending a little bit more time at these higher levels, but this time, you know, we've been here now for a month, and we haven't even fallen out of the range yet. So, you know, there's a lot of people that are already losing faith in crypto, and that's fine. I mean, I don't really care about that, and people will talk, and everybody's stupid, so it doesn't really matter. But what I think is really, really important is, you know, just kind of reading between the lines and asking ourselves, you know, if the bears really were in control, then wouldn't they have, I feel, you know, wouldn't they have, you know, kind of taken this price below 100K again by now, right? But actually we're holding pretty strong. We're consolidating in healthy ways, you know, clearing the level, you know, pretty well. I mean, you know, this we managed to clear 100K by, you know, 5%, and then we consolidated for how long? For 10 days we consolidated, and then set a brand new all-time high, and then even the way down has been slow. So, you know, for me to start making an argument that bears look like they're in control, I can't really do that yet. I'm not seeing the evidence of it. Obviously, it's not nice for the bulls that we couldn't set substantially higher all-time highs, but, you know, I was saying, you know, right at the peak, and I was saying on the way up that, I mean, we had a pretty impressive rally, right? I mean, you know, we were moving up by 15% continuously. Take a look at this, right? So, I mean, depending on how you draw it, you know, we were moving up by these, you know, pretty decent, moderate pumps, right, for quite some time. So naturally, yeah, I think it definitely makes sense that there's, you know, some kind of a call for a pullback right here. But, you know, as far as this pullback is going, it's looking good to me, right? I mean, you know, we just take a look at how it went last time, right? When Bitcoin set that all-time high up until the point that Bitcoin lost the 100K level, that was 2 days and 8 hours, okay? And on this occasion here, we set the all-time high and we immediately tested the bottom again within the same day, more or less. So, you know, very, 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 very different performance here. I mean, if we're talking about super short-term price action after the all-time high, we were only down by 4-5% and only down to 107K. I mean, honestly, like quite a respectable high price level. And then all the way to now, again, we haven't even reset this move down to 100K yet, and we might not. I don't know. I can't see the future. But it's been 14 days. And so I really think, you know, if you look at it from this perspective, or really any perspective that's, you know, realistic, just kind of, you know, trying to understand how has Bitcoin been performing above some of these levels, it's orders of magnitude you know, more strong than it was previously. You know, it's really quite a big difference. So, you know, could this fall flat on its face? Yeah, of course. It wouldn't be the first time that it happened, and it certainly won't be the last time either, right? So we're not saying that we're completely insulated from drops at this point, but what I am saying with confidence is we're doing better this time than we ever did before. And, you know, this goes for other all-time highs as well, right? I mean, if we take a look at some of our previous all-time highs that we have on this chart, you know, we managed to, stay up at the highs previously. Also for a pretty short amount of time. I mean, this was 8 days. If you count the whole thing, then yeah, we did about 30 days, which is more or less where we are right now. But all these other all-time highs, I mean, as soon as you set them, you're down big. I mean, the initial couple of days afterwards, you'll see in pretty sizable pullbacks. This is 11 days, you're down by 27%. We're clearly showing more strength this time around, I feel, right? I mean, I think that there needs to be more time here for this chart to really develop and tell us the story it wants to tell us. But as far as it kind of goes right now, I mean, I don't really think that we've been invalidated yet. I think that there are definitely, some really good reasons that bears are kind of expecting the low 90s and maybe even lower than that, 70s, 80s, 50. I've seen 50K floating around as well, and look, these theories, they always have they always have something valid to them, right? And that's why we have healthy functioning markets. It's okay to, kind of disagree with each other and stuff like that. That's, obviously completely normal. But again, I think that these are, quite baseless claims. There's a little bit of evidence in all of these directions, but not enough, and certainly not enough to make it, to make it kind of invalidate what we're seeing here. I see a little bit of a head and shoulders pattern. I don't know if you guys like drawing shapes on your chart still, or if we're finally out of nursery kindergarten now. Maybe we're done with drawing head and shoulder shapes on our fucking charts. For the most part, I really don't think that it's anything particularly concerning at all. I think that, we can come down, capture a little bit of support, and then be good. Bitcoin dominance-wise, we've seen it, just kind of going sideways a little bit. It's probably going to pick up a little bit more steam if the dump intensifies, or if we pump as well. I would probably expect the same thing to happen anyway. And then, yeah, across the altcoin market, I think we're starting to see those opportunities starting to shape up again. I mean, Solana hit some pretty interesting highs this year. It got well above $200, and we're now seeing it come back down essentially to the mid-range of this, parallel channel that I very crudely drew on this chart. I think that there's definitely some possibility for, these coins to start giving us some really, really nice entries at this point. And I don't really feel like there's been enough to make me feel concerned to the point where I don't want to be bidding these lows at this point. I feel like it's actually looking pretty strong to me. Again, I think a lot of this is pegged to the S&P 500, right? If the S&P 500 takes a shit and, it drops down again, then obviously crypto is going to be in some trouble, right? And that's actually the risk that we have right now, is that, for the super, super temporary outlook over the last couple of days, we have seen, crypto a fair bit weaker than, at the S&P 500. And so if the S&P 500 does drop now, that residual weakness is still there in crypto, but we're going to have a lot more weakness kind of entering the space as well. So there's definitely cause for concern if that's the kind of thing that you're looking at. But, I mean, that hasn't even happened yet. There is support down here, and even if it does happen, we kind of know where Bitcoin could fall down to, right? We've got some pretty decent levels outlined for Bitcoin. We've even got that deviation level down at 88, 87 if Bitcoin really wants to do it. I would welcome it. I'm completely fine with it. I feel like we're kind of seeing what we want to see overall as far as a, healthy pullback. And I really could not care less what is influencing this. I don't really care whether it's, a Trump announcement or tariffs or whatever the hell, that the people point to, CPI data, Jerome Powell, big man Win. He's been doing rounds on Twitter lately. I don't think any of this stuff matters. I really, really can't bring myself to care. Ultimately, I feel like these charts have been telling us these stories for a couple of months now. I mean, we knew that Bitcoin was due for a pullback when it was coming up to about 111, and obviously this would be the best time to pull back because, we can have a pretty decent moderate-sized correction now. I'm talking, 13% down, 20% down, and we're going to be falling down to some really, really very respectable price levels. So, even if the S&P 500 does take that tumble, I'm not worried. If the S&P 500 starts going up toward the end of this week, obviously, it's already, Thursday. We're toward the end of the Thursday trading session, so not a whole lot left. But, if something happens throughout the rest of this trading session and tomorrow, I think that there's definitely going to be a really, really good opportunity here for Bitcoin to, pick itself up and start rallying again. And the thing is it happens. I mean, I think everybody probably expected it to happen here, but obviously not at the price level it happened. I think everybody was looking at 71 or 69, whatever. But when these markets really start moving and they start going aggressively, hopefully, you are definitely going to be seeing just people being surprised by it, people being caught completely off guard by the idea that Bitcoin could be pumping up from here. So I think that we've still got, a lot going for us. I don't like the support level. I've been clear with you about that. I'm not optimistic about it holding, but I'm not needlessly pessimistic anyway. Honestly, I think if there's anything to take away from this about how I feel, if that's what you're interested in, it's that I really don't care about what I'm seeing right now. I can't bring myself to be concerned. I can't bring myself to be excited, and that's by design because I'm a trader, right? I want to make sure that I'm maximizing what I can do and not holding myself back because my own psychology is starting to, go through peaks and troughs. I don't want that. I want stability in my life, and that's what I feel having a healthy kind of crypto outlook will bring you, right? If you're kind of super attached to the ebbs and flows, the peaks and the troughs, the all-time highs and the pullbacks, if you're attached to these things and they mess you up and they scare you and all that stuff, my hair is going crazy. And all that stuff, I don't think that, that's going to be a healthy way to kind of approach these markets and even, make profits off them. So if you guys are interested in checking out some really cool chart setups from us, we've got this link here to 𝗙𝗟𝗟𝗓𝗓. It is an exchange that's got, one-to-one reserves, transparency, all that good stuff. The things that you're used to, great liquidity as well. And we, the Four Flies team, have been able to post some really, really amazing insights there onto 𝗙𝗟𝗟𝗓𝗓 for you guys. So those are exclusive updates that aren't going anywhere else, to do with charts that we're looking at, trades that we're looking to take, and that's going right there. So definitely check that out if you are interested, and if you're not from a restricted region, that is of course very, very important. Bybit remains obviously the best in the game, so definitely check them out if you're interested. You get tons of free cash when you start trading using both of these exchanges, linked in the description below, which is super, super cool. But with that, ladies and gents, not a whole lot more to say. I don't want to drag this on longer than it needs to, kind of go. It's a good looking chart. And there's nothing crazy going on. So hopefully we get a deeper pullback. The deeper we pull back, the more we get to go up. But at this stage, I don't see any level as being particularly clear for where we might pull back. I can't say anything with confidence at this point because there's just so many support levels. It's like every $2,000, there's another really good support level. So, at this point, it's going to be the pick of the market. But yeah, I definitely don't see us kind of entering danger territory. And for me, danger territory starts below 87. Okay, if we drop below 87, then that would be a bit of a blow, but still totally recoverable. I mean, me, I like big Bitcoin corrections. I welcome them. I expect them. So I would, I wouldn't be upset, but obviously we would be losing the structure that we have right now. So we probably don't want to be seeing that. I suppose one thing I'll do right before we do round this off is actually just throw a Fibonacci on this thing and see if there's anything interesting from that Fibonacci outlook, because I do think that's obviously going to be quite useful here for these markets. And if we just take a look at Bitcoin's fib right here from its low to its all-time high, we are sitting at the 236 now, which to me heavily implies that the 382 could be a realistic support level for Bitcoin. This level also, of course, lines up with the same box that I had drawn on the other chart, which I can show you in just a minute. And of course, we've got our 618 down here, so there's definitely some cause for Bitcoin to pull back into this range. I don't know if it's going to happen. I think this would definitely hurt a lot of people if it did happen, and for that reason alone, I think that the market might try and take us there. But again, way too early to be discussing those ideas. We've got a ton of support before this even happens. But I do think that the fib levels are lining up with some super interesting areas. And if Bitcoin does end up kind of heading down to some of those levels, then yeah, we'd probably see a quite a large reset for the altcoin market, and probably I think a fairly significant increase on Bitcoin's dominance as well, because of the fear that would breed in these markets. And we'd obviously probably see a lot of altcoin holders moving back into Bitcoin for a little bit of refuge, right? Especially as those altcoins are dropping, there's even less reason to hold them now, because it's not even making you money, which is the only reason that you're in altcoins, right? You're not in them because you like the tech, you're in them because you want to make money. So as soon as that reason gets removed, we're a little bit less interested in being in altcoins typically. I'm just kind of talking about broader kind of market dynamics. But ladies and gents, there you go. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. Check out 𝗙𝗟𝗟𝗓𝗓 for exclusive chart updates and free money to trade with when you get trading on this exchange. Super, super cool indeed. Obviously, only if you're not from a restricted region. Make sure you subscribe, tick the bell, like the video, all that good stuff. You know what to do. And we'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.